All right, so let's try example number one. So this is a type of a compounding interest problem, and we're given that a bank features a savings account that has an annual percentage rate of 5.7% with interest rate compounded annually, semi-annually, sorry. And Alexi deposits $12,000 into this account, right? So the key word here that I want you guys to think about is compounded semi-annually, right? So that gives us a way what kind of problem we're gonna be working with. So first, let's write down what is P. P is the investment, whatever you're depositing, your initial amount. So in this case, it's 12,000. And then R is the interest rate. So that's 5.7%, which we have to turn this into a decimal form. So it'll be moving the decimal two positions to the left. It'll be 0.057. And then finally, N. N is the number of periods semi-annually per year, right? Semi-annually, as we mentioned before, is half of a year, so that happens twice a year. Now, in this case, we're gonna say, well, might as well write down which formula we're gonna be using. Since this is compounded in a period, that means we're gonna be using this formula, right? And I always encourage you guys to try to write the formula every time you use the formula. That way you can memorize it without even trying. Now they're asking us how much will Alexi have in the account in 8 years, round to the nearest penny. So in this case, they're saying that 8 years, so that would be t will be equals 8. So given what we already know, right, this formula, we're gonna go ahead and replace every given information. So P is 12,000, followed by a parentheses 1 plus R, which is 0.057, all over N, which is 2, raised to the power of N, which is 2, times T, which is 8. Right, so we're gonna literally just put this into the calculator, and let me just take out the calculator here real quick. So I'll split the screen here. There you go. All right, so we have, let's clear this up, and we have 12,000 parentheses 1 plus, and then the interest rate 0.057 divided by 2, close parentheses, and then raise this to the power, and then you see the caret, raise it to the power, and you see how this is already an exponent. 2 times 8, which I can just write 16 because 2 times 8 is 16, but doesn't matter in this case, right? It's gonna be letting as long as the product is still there in the exponent, then you can. Some calculators won't allow you to do that, so you may want to just type in 16 and then enter, and that's giving us one 18,812. So this is going to be 18,812.650, and they asked us to round this to the nearest penny. Penny is 1/100th of a dollar, so that's the 5. So we're gonna test the previous number. So that means since 0 is less than 5, then we're staying the same, right? When we round in, it tells us whether we're gonna be rounding up or staying the same. And there you go. So that is how much Alexis is gonna have after 8 years in a compounded semi-annually account. Now the next part is to find the annual percentage yield. So we already know that formula for this, again, let's write it out. It's going to be 1 plus R over N to the N minus 1. So let's replace that. 1 plus 0.057 all over 2 raised to the 2 minus 1. So we'll type that in. So we parentheses 1 plus 0.057 all over 2, close parentheses, raised to the second power, and then I gotta move it to the right. Click my space to the right. That way I can see that it's level with the other numbers, and then minus 1. See that? Otherwise, I would have written that -1 in the exponent. So I don't want to do that. At least in my calculator, that's how it works out, right? So I'll type it in, and I end up getting that this is 0.057812. And they ask us, well, this is supposed to be a percentage, right? This is supposed to be a percentage, so I actually have to write this in percentage form. So I have to move the decimal 1, 2. Right, so that's going to give us 5.7812. But they asked me to round it off to 3 decimal places. So in other words, APY is going to equal 5.781, right? Because I'm going to round this number and test the 2. The 2 is less than 5, so that means my number stays the same. So my APY is 5.781%, right? Remember that this value is a percentage value, it's a percentage rate,